We're introduced to our bride as she recalls a moment most would dream of, the day she first felt loved. At just 22, she falls deeply for a man named Seo Ihan, and for a short while, she experiences what it truly means to be cherished. One moment stands out. He gently brushes her hair and confesses his feelings. From the outside, their relationship seems like a fairy tale, especially since Ihan isn't just anyone. He's the grandson of the Jamun Group's president, a company so influential it could sway the country's economy. On the other hand, her family also holds power, though in a quieter way. Her mother leads one of the top hospitals, while her father works in the murky world of finance. Nonetheless, their status doesn't come close to Ihan's family. Once her parents discover who he really is, they push for an engagement right away. Her mom says it's better to marry while still discovering each other, arguing that knowing too much could ruin things. We see Sein flustered by her mother's words, especially when she turns to speak directly with Ihan. What happens next feels like a scene out of a romantic drama. Almost playfully, he gets down on one knee and proposes, holding out a simple silver ring. For someone like Sein, who has never experienced love like this before, his words mean everything. She accepts right away, her eyes filled with tears, truly believing he's sincere. However, things begin to shift not long after. While planning for the wedding, Ihan starts to drift away. Every time she tries to reach him, she only hears that cold, automated message. As if that wasn't enough, the day after their wedding, he suddenly leaves the country to begin his training as the future head of Jamun. That's when she comes to a conclusion. He never wanted love. All he needed was a quiet, obedient wife to keep things in order while he handled business overseas. Moreover, we're shocked to learn that Ihan specifically chose Sein because her family was just influential enough to be useful, but not powerful enough to pose any problems. He even tells his grandfather that she's perfect because she won't interfere with company matters or question his choices. It becomes painfully clear that the entire marriage was more of a transaction to him, and she was just a convenient choice. But just when we think her story ends in silence and distance, something unexpected happens. Out of nowhere, he tries to pull her back in again. He says he misses her and that he just wants one hug. Then, as if that wasn't confusing enough, he asks if she would accept an apology if he gave her the chance. Sein, who knows this isn't genuine, still can't stop the tears from falling. And now, 6 years after what was supposed to be the happiest moment of her life, we're stunned to see her newlywed life begin all over again. It's a quiet reminder that love, when mixed with power and hidden intentions, rarely ends the way we hope. Yet even now, something inside her still stirs when she sees him, and we're left wondering, will this new chapter bring healing or just more pain in disguise? In this next scene, we pick up 2 years after their last encounter. Even though their love had once burned bright, their wedding had happened too fast. We see Sein wake up to the loud sound of her ringtone screaming about work. Slowly, she sits up and wonders why she dreamed about him again. She then picks up her phone and greets her mother, who quickly reminds her about the evening's event. After hesitating, she responds that she hasn't forgotten, even though she clearly had. Her mother firmly tells her to wear the outfit she sent and nothing else. With a light smile, she agrees. As she gets out of bed, she blames the dream for her lateness and hurries off. She opens her sister's door and greets her. After replying, Hein stays in bed, saying she isn't feeling well and doesn't need breakfast. Sein suggests getting some medicine for indigestion, and her sister agrees. After work, she helps her sister with her meal and bathing as always. We learn that when Sein was just 4, Hein lost the use of her legs after saving her from a reversing truck. This memory quietly darkens her mood. But Hein notices and reminds her that she's alive because of her, and now she must be her legs for the rest of their lives. Even though there's a maid in the house, Hein admits she prefers Sein helping her, and this brings a small smile to her face. Being her sister's only support feels heavy, but she takes it all in quietly. Later that day, we see her stepping into the location for her evening plans, dressed in a short, revealing gown chosen by her mother. She feels extremely uncomfortable in the outfit and tries to adjust it, clearly not feeling confident. She knows her mom asked her to wear it to appeal to a certain someone's tastes, but it still doesn't make it easier. Just then, someone enters. It's Seo Ihan, her husband. He walks in with an apology, acting overly formal. Her heart suddenly races with a mix of nerves and confusion. It's the first time they're meeting after he left for overseas right after their wedding, and instead of familiar comfort, he's talking like a stranger. As she tries to process his odd behavior, she accidentally slips on her tea. She can't help but notice how different he looks. His eyes seem sharper, his body more fit, and he even looks taller. She stares without realizing it, and when he asks if something's on his face, she snaps out of it. She awkwardly explains that her job requires her to observe guests closely, so it just happened. But then, to her surprise, he asks what she's observed about him. Before she can answer, he admits he feels nervous and drops his teacup. From our view, this moment feels confusing and intense. Why is he acting this way after 2 years of silence? He changes the subject and asks her about her work at Double 9. When she confirms, he asks if she plans to keep working there. She proudly says yes, but then he randomly brings up her sister. His words are subtle, but they sting, implying she hasn't broken free from Hyen's influence. Sein flinches at the remark, knowing deep down she hasn't really had a choice. Still, she holds her head high and says she enjoys her work, calling it her passion. But then he pokes again, asking if she means her hotel job or being a caretaker. At this point, it's clear he's trying to provoke something. From where we're watching, it feels like a slow trap unfolding. She clenches her fists but keeps herself steady, refusing to let his words break her. She changes the subject, asking when he'll leave the country. When he says his flight is tomorrow afternoon, she quietly notes there isn't much time left. And just when we think this scene has already shown enough tension, Sein remembers her mother's chilling words. She was told to make sure she gets pregnant tonight, for the sake of Jamun Group's future. Meanwhile, Seo Ihan is now looking at her with soft, romantic eyes, completely unaware of the storm she's holding in. We're left holding our breath, wondering how this complicated night will unfold and what choices she'll be forced to make under all this quiet pressure. We find them seated at a table, and just when we think this will be a normal conversation, she throws out the big question: why he asked to see her. He doesn't dodge it, but flips it around, asking why she came at all, especially since she clearly looks uncomfortable. With a calm smile on his face, he watches her, but in her mind, she's already convinced he's just here to mock her. She knows her parents will be disappointed, yet she can't push someone who clearly doesn't want the same thing. So she gets straight to the point, saying the chairman wants a grandchild. His response is short, just a repeat of the word, but she doesn't waste time and moves to the next topic. If he's free, they should head to a hotel, or if he's not interested, they can consider artificial insemination. However, her words are cut off by a sarcastic remark. According to him, it's funny how she seems okay with becoming part of his family to this extent, even willing to get close to someone she doesn't like. The words sting, and it shows on her face. He points it out too, enjoying her reaction. Then she asks if their marriage is just a joke to him, and although he finally stops smiling after seeing a tear slide down, he still says he can't believe he's being asked to make babies just for the good of the group. He continues eating and even tells her to eat before the food gets cold. She doesn't hide her anger, and instead of responding, she stands up. She thanks him for the meal and says she's leaving. Before she fully walks away, he asks if she wore that dress just for him, adding that her style probably hasn't changed that much in 2 years. She stops and says this is how she dresses now. It's her everyday style, before walking away. As soon as the door closes behind her, he loosens his tie and sighs deeply. He quietly scolds himself, saying he acted like a fool, wasting what little time they had together on sarcasm. In his thoughts, he remembers the person she used to be and compares it to the person he met today. It hurts that he wasn't there to see her change, and even more, that he can't tell her how much he's missed her during those 2 years. Still, deep down, he knows just saying that won't be enough to win her back. 4 years later, we land in an ultra-exclusive hotel that only accepts the highest-paying members. This is where she now works. As Chairman Kim prepares to leave, she bows and sends him off politely. We get to know that she lives here with her sister, who isn't able to move much, and it's thanks to some connections that she got the job. The chairman then jokes about how sweet she is and that if she wasn't married, he would have introduced her to his son. She simply thanks him, but in her mind, she remembers how awful his son is, always causing trouble whenever he shows up. The topic quickly shifts to her current relationship, and it's clear the chairman is fishing for gossip. He asks about her husband and even slips in a joke about whether she's been left already. She doesn't respond, so he continues pressing. When she doesn't break, he even offers her a place in his family, saying he'd treat her well if she got divorced. But then, out of nowhere, a voice interrupts. Just when we think we've seen it all, he shows up. The same person she never expected to see again. He walks in, responding to the comment as if he's been there all along. His words sound smooth, but they carry weight. He says he's surprised people are gossiping about their marriage and questions why so many have something to say. The chairman is clearly nervous now, stammering and trying to switch topics, saying he thought he was still abroad. He replies that he just arrived that morning and keeps his eyes locked on her. The chairman awkwardly tries to play nice, throwing out compliments and even reaching for a handshake, but he doesn't get a response. The hands stay in the pockets. As he walks past, the air gets tense, and we can almost feel the second-hand embarrassment. When asked how long he's staying, he says he's not planning to leave unless something comes up, and he's still staring at her when he says it. She's confused and caught off guard. 4 years had gone by faster than she expected, and she never imagined he'd come back so suddenly. Now, with everything hitting her all at once, all she wants to do is walk over and slap him across the face. And honestly, who could blame her? We're introduced to a strange love triangle, or at least something that looks like one, right in the middle of a workplace. Seo walks in on Chairman Kim, throwing playful words around, trying to joke about his connection with manager Jung. However, things shift quickly when Seo, with a calm but biting tone, reminds the chairman that he's married to her. The air thickens with tension. The chairman laughs it off, calling it just a joke, yet his pride is clearly bruised. Just when we think it can't get more awkward, Seo suddenly pulls her close and asks, right in front of the chairman, if they're getting divorced. She responds no, almost as if she's being controlled, and when he asks if they loved each other before marriage, she says they did, though her clenched fist tells us otherwise. He insists she should act more lovingly, blaming her coldness for giving off the wrong impression. She replies she's just shocked by his sudden visit. Meanwhile, the chairman, now unsure of everything, excuses himself and walks off confused. In the next scene, he asks if they can talk now that work is over, but she shrugs him off, asking if he's really back this time. Apparently, the last time he returned 4 years ago, he left just as quickly. He says his job ended earlier than expected and wants to talk over dinner. She turns him down, saying she already has plans. He questions her discomfort and asks if she just doesn't like him. She calmly says he should have called first, that even if they live separately, he shouldn't show up unannounced. When she says he should invest his time elsewhere, he disagrees, saying he wants to put his wife first. That word, wife, stings, and she mentally calls him a shameless jerk. She then asks him not to interfere at work as it makes things harder for her. He responds by blaming the face she made earlier, saying he couldn't just sit still after seeing it. She snaps, blaming everything on him, and surprisingly he agrees with a soft, "I know." At this point, she's thrown off, but the crowd makes her drop it. She says they can talk another time, but just when we think he'll back off, he asks for a hug, just one. He then adds that he wants to apologize and wonders if she'll let him. We can't help but feel her confusion. A hug? An apology? Suddenly, she wonders if he's sick, like really sick. The only explanation she can come up with is that he might be dying. However, before she can finish her question, he stays silent. She panics, tells him not to say it yet, and when he finally speaks, he laughs, asking if she really hates him enough to imagine him with a terminal illness. She watches him grin so casually and thinks maybe she was wrong. That's when a staff member calls her over, saying someone is looking for her. She quickly replies, tells him to lock the doors after, and begins to head out. Seo teases that at the rate she's storming off, She won't take 10 steps without tripping. She brushes him off, saying she doesn't believe in silly jinxes, and coldly reminds him to book a meeting if he wants to talk. As she walks away, she angrily wonders why he's suddenly playing the good husband when he's the one who left in the first place. Just when we think she's made her dramatic exit, karma, or Seo's prediction, catches up and she twists her ankle. She touches it to ease the pain, only for his words to echo in her mind. At that moment, her thoughts spiral. Their marriage happened on his terms, their separation was his choice, and now he wants to pretend they're a couple again. She's never had control. She's just been his side piece, her sister's helper, her parents' puppet. Fueled by frustration, she changes into a blue sweater and a cap after her work and heads out to a club underground of the hotel. Why? We currently don't know. Previously, Seo Ihan's unexpected visit had turned a normal day at work into an awkward performance. After brushing off Chairman Kim's suspicions and putting on a show of forced affection, Jung Sein tried to keep her emotions hidden, but the moment left her shaken, so later that night, she followed her sister Hee into a club. Maybe to breathe, maybe to forget, or maybe for a reason even she didn't know. Inside, Hee arrives late, laughing and blaming Sein for making her wait. While Hee settles in beside a guy who clearly knows her well, Sein just stands quietly next to the wheelchair, her expression unreadable. Kang Hyunjin, seated at the table, offers her a drink, but she declines like always. He doesn't take the hint. He questions her outfit, makes a comment about her ruining the mood, and tries to coax her into drinking anyway. Just when she's about to lose her patience, Hyun gives her a look that shuts her down. No matter how frustrated she feels, she bites her tongue. Kang doesn't let up. He pours a glass for her, pushes it toward her, and crosses a line with a disgusting threat. But before she can react, someone snatches the cup. It's Seo Ihan. With a sharp glare, he flips the situation on Kang, threatening to do the very same to him. When Kang realizes who's standing in front of him, all the color drains from his face. Ihan demands an apology. Though Kang stumbles through his confusion, he finally mutters out the words. Watching it all, Sein feels strangely satisfied. That was always Ihan, commanding, dangerous, impossible to ignore. But the fear creeps in. If he starts acting like a husband again and leaves without warning, she won't recover this time. Ihan turns to her, asking why she was even joking with someone like Kang. Her heart races. How does he know that name? Sensing danger, she quickly tells Kang to leave. He doesn't argue. Just as she thinks it's over, Ihan notices the way she winces and bends slightly. Kneeling down, he quietly asks if she's hurt. Her eyes widen at his concern, unsure how to process the warmth she's been trying so hard to resist. We're introduced to our female lead just as she's trying to hide the pain from her injured ankle. Seo notices the redness right away and reaches out, which makes her flinch. Although she brushes it off like it's no big deal, he isn't convinced. He tells her to lean on him, and even though she finds it awkward, she complies, only because she feels like she's about to fall. While checking her leg, he questions how she managed to walk around all day like that, clearly worried. Meanwhile, she wonders how someone who almost got into a fight just moments ago is now kneeling before her like this. She pulls away, saying she needs to take her sister home, but instead of arguing, he simply says he'll wait. As she pushes Hyun in the wheelchair, we hear the older girl happily ask if he'll visit them soon. He says he will, only if invited, while keeping his eyes elsewhere. As they head out, we get to hear what Hyun really thinks. She admits she was a little scared of him, mostly because of how cold his eyes seem. Sein agrees he's not the easiest person to be around, though she reminds her sister that she used to like him because she thought he'd keep her in check. Hyun giggles and wonders if he's returned from America just to see her, or maybe because his project didn't work out. Sein doesn't know, and truthfully, neither do we. Before heading back out, she asks if the housekeeper can assist her, but Hyun flips the question on her, wanting to know if she's going back to see him. She says she will, though she offers to help her bathe first if needed. Hyun tells her not to worry and asks her to return early. After handing her over to the housekeeper, Sein limps her way out once again. Just when you think you've seen it all, Seo appears again and points out how risky it is to push a wheelchair with a bad ankle. She tries to explain herself, but he scoops her up so fast, her words completely disappear. He tells her to take care of herself first, and even though she says she doesn't need help, he insists. What's even more shocking is how he knows exactly where her room is. Her confusion grows when he tells her it's only natural, because she's his wife. She can't believe what she's hearing. His behavior has changed so much, she even wonders if the rumor about him being sick might not be that crazy after all. She warns him again not to show up unannounced, but he cheekily questions whether it's really so strange for a married couple to share a room. At this point, we're just as confused as she is. She doesn't want to make a scene or stir up rumors, especially after the earlier club incident. So she agrees to let him in, though she asks him to put her down first. He doesn't. Instead, he walks straight into her room with her still in his arms. She pushes against his chest, asking to be let down, but pauses as her eyes land on his face. The hotel lights really aren't doing her any favors right now. They make him look even more attractive. He finally sets her on a plush chair, and when she asks why he brought her here, he simply says it's a kind of insurance. She tries to snap herself out of it, but she's clearly still caught in the middle of emotions she can't quite push aside. Previously, Seo tended to Sein's injured ankle with more care than she expected, stirring up a storm of mixed feelings. She tried to keep her distance, emotionally and physically, but his sincerity made it harder to stay cold. Now, back in her hotel room balcony, things take a more complicated turn. She's seated while he stands, staring. He kneels and gently lifts her swollen ankle, saying he's trained as a masseur and wants her to relax. She tries to pull back, insisting she'll just ice it, but he doesn't budge. He points out she got hurt after walking away from him, and now he thinks a doctor should be called. Her heart tugs at his concern, but she tries to brush it off, accusing him of crossing the line. When she questions his sudden change, he stays quiet, fixated on her ankle, and she finds herself stunned by how soft his expression is. Trying to protect herself, she draws a boundary. If they need to act like a couple in public, fine, but he can't interfere in her personal life like today. His face falls. Then calmly, he says he wants their separation to end. She laughs bitterly, reminding him they were never really together. They were strangers in a wedding ceremony, and now he wants to live together? He says he doesn't want to act. He wants them to be real. If he asked to restart their love, would she say yes? She pushes back, asking why now, after years of silence. He admits he missed her every single day and wanted to call but didn't, afraid he'd break and come back. On his knees, he pleads for a chance to apologize. She's overwhelmed by emotion, but instead of accepting, she walks away, saying what she really wants is for him to leave. He warns her to be careful, but she's already limping toward the pool, trying to escape. She notices him following, picks up speed, but the moment she spins around to yell at him, she loses her balance and falls straight into the pool. Seo yells her name, panicked. In the water, her mind clears. The chaos in her chest feels lighter, almost peaceful. She knows rumors will fly again, but for once, she doesn't mind. Before she can dwell on it, Seo dives in and pulls her out, holding her tightly with a terrified look in his eyes. She stares up at him, wide-eyed, caught off guard by the depth of his worry. He thought about the pool, the punch, the night they shared, and the long distance that still lingered between them. But he had made a choice. He was going to ask her to move into their new home. He wasn't ready to give up. Not this time. We begin this scene with Seo sitting in the car, quietly thinking to himself. He remembers how he pretended not to be able to sleep again, hoping it would make Sein stay with him. But instead, she only got more upset, and from the way she looked at him, he could already tell it wasn't going to be easy winning her back. At this point, he wonders if he should just be satisfied that he got a little close to her, or feel worse that, even after finding her again, things still aren't working out. Still, he believes the only way they can move forward is if she moves into their new house. And suddenly, another problem shows up. He realizes he might have to deal with Hein first. Just when we think he's lost in his thoughts, Mr. Yoon, his assistant, who's seated in the front seat, interrupts him. Mr. Yoon asks if they should send over some of the things the madam needs to her room. Seo quickly says no, and instead tells him to book an appointment with Hyen's doctor. As his assistant agrees, he begins to wonder to himself, maybe this is about trying to win the madam's heart through her sister. He also remembers that weird night call, when his boss had shown up soaking wet. He's not sure if the two are back on good terms, especially since he was the one giving updates from Los Angeles. Although he's clearly confused, he knows better than to ask anything directly, especially because Seo is so unpredictable when things don't go his way. Eventually, he tries again and asks if meeting the doctor means he's helping with Hyeon's treatment. Seo responds coldly and asks why he would do that. When the assistant jokes about needing to be warned if anything shady is about to happen, Seo shoots him a sharp look and tells him he just wants her admitted into a care facility. He explains that his wife has already done enough, and from the look on his face, his assistant immediately understands that this is not about kindness, but about getting Hyeon out of the way. Without hesitation, Seo orders him to look into her background, find weaknesses, and gather anything that could be used against her. The assistant agrees, but in his mind, he's completely sure now. His boss is savage. However, just when you think the mood has gone cold, Seo suddenly changes the topic and asks if his assistant has ever been in a relationship. Trying to lighten the air, the assistant brags that he used to be a heartbreaker and even calls himself an expert in relationships. We can tell Seo finds that disgusting. But he keeps listening anyway because there are more important things on his mind. He suddenly asks what Sein likes, and without needing much explanation, the assistant already knows he's being asked to stop talking nonsense. This shows how well he understands his boss, and Seo silently appreciates it. As things settle, the assistant turns serious and tells him to just try being sincere with his wife. Seo seems surprised by that idea and even questions if that's a real solution. But the assistant firmly tells him that sincerity always works, especially if it's consistent. And that's where we leave them, with Seo now holding on to the idea that maybe, just maybe, genuine effort could still change things. Thanks for tuning in. If you're hooked and want more, please comment and subscribe. Your comments and subscriptions fuel my motivation to continue. I'll see you in the next part.